So back in 2015, when I purchased my first FZ-09, which is not this one, I loved the bike, and it was just amazing. Like I remember loving the engine, like I got on it and I loved the torque and whatever. But when I used to park the bike and I would walk away from the bike, I'll feel like there's something about this bike that I just don't like. And I kept looking at it, and then I ended up buying some, I think it's like Pyramid Plastics, and I purchased, you know, some radiator guards, or not guards, but actual like covers in here. And then it was okay, but there was still something missing, and that's when I realized that it was the headlight that was the one thing that was just bugging me. And I can just be the first person to think like the headlight is like super high up on the bike. I don't know if there's a purpose behind it or if just styling, but in my opinion, I love how Ducatis, like for example 696, which I used to have one, the headlight is actually way low, so it kind of goes with the symmetry of the bike, and I don't feel like that's the case in here. So I decided that I'm going to lower mine, so I'm just gonna do whatever customization I can do. I have not watched any video because I don't want to get biased by someone else's approach to do these type of modifications. I just want to do it myself and go through the experience of what do I need to do in order to make it work and lower the headlight, subtle but enough that I can notice. People might not care. You probably love the way the bike looks, and that's okay. In my case, I just want to make it my own and make it so that I'm comfortable every time I look at it and I'm happy with everything on the bike. So come with me so we can go into this modification. All right, so this is a 4 right here, same on the other side. Let's just remove this first so we can get started. All right, so this is where it sits normally. And I just want to see how it looks. Like, you know, there's nothing's gonna be different in terms of, you know, just changing a couple things that are all reversible. So what I'm going to do is, this is how the headlight sits right now. So if I were to remove it from the bottom, I already have it, you know, unhooked at the top, but I still have to, you know, manage through, you know, cables and whatnot. I want to say that's about an inch lower. Of course, you might not be able to like really see the difference because right now you're not being able to see the entire bike, but that for the most part it's the kind of look that I'm hoping for. So I'm just gonna start fabricating something so I can at least mock it up and see how it looks and go for that look. All right, so let's remove the base. It might be a little bit difficult for you to see the one bolt I'm removing, which is these 210s right here. Okay, that one is loose. Do the second one. Okay, so I have the bracket right here. This is the area where the headlight is gonna be resting, and what I'm going to be doing is adding a piece of metal that's gonna go on the actual frame, and then this is going to be attaching to that metal exactly 1 inch, you know, below its original point. So I have my part that I'm working on. This is the bracket, and then what I'm planning on doing is maybe 1.5 inches, and I'm just gonna take the center of the part to kind of put in place and make sure that I'm not exceeding 1.5 inches. Let me just do it like this. So I'm just gonna mark where the 1.5 inch position is. So it will be something like here. That's 1.5 inches from this edge. So 1 inch, 1.5 inches. And then what I'm going to do is I'm gonna throw a line in here. Okay, so this is gonna serve as my guide, and I'm going to position the center of the bracket in here. Perfect. That way this is exactly, you know, 1.5 inches from the other point. So I'm just gonna mark this in here, mark this in here, and I know I can make 2 holes, and then I can figure out about, you know, what to do next with, you know, the rest of the part, just so, you know, it's a little bit skinny. All right, so I'll make this pretty later. Put this in here, and I'm only going to be using 1 bolt so that I can I only have one extra right now, so I'm just gonna fix this in place like so with one bolt, and this is the piece that I'm going to, you know, focus on just to make at least a little bit decent instead of just a... What I decided on doing is I don't want to turn it into a Home Depot project, but or hardware store project, but at the end of the day, metal is metal. So I ended up buying two 90-degree brackets with the intention not necessarily to use the holes, but maybe I can use them. Instead of doing it the way I was doing it before, let me actually move the camera. I thought about how about I just go from here to the center, so that when I'm going in the front, there's actually nothing for you to look at or pay attention to. So what I'm thinking of doing is so I was just not gonna start it in here. I'm just gonna line this one up, and then I can make a hole in here, use that hole, and then cut the excess at the top. That way I'm just gonna have a very small section that I'm using. Of course, this is gonna be painted black, so it's gonna blend, like I said before, like 78 times already. And then even better, what you're going to see here is going to be a bolt instead of a piece of metal that's going to be probably drawing your attention to it. So it's just going to be in here, and then it's not gonna, there's nothing that you're going to see from the front that's going to look like this or whatever. It's just going to look like a piece of metal just going in on the inside. I'm expecting to look a little bit more natural. So let's start over again. So I'm just going to use this one right here. Okay. And now I drilled a new hole in here. And what I want to do now is it's not going to be perfect because it's still not running through the inside. But I want to get an idea of where I need to be cutting. So that's about what I want. Perfect. So now I'm just going to go ahead and mark where my bolt is. So here on, I can delete, this doesn't matter. Bolt, like the hole is all the way here, so that's fine. So, and what I'm thinking, so that this is just for reference, so it looks better and less industrial. I mean, besides cutting this and this being on the inside, I can also kind of round this off a little bit. So in case you see it, it looks a little bit, you know, less such a Home Depot type of project, if that makes sense. Okay, so now I'm just gonna replicate this same hole on the other one, so I don't have to do the same. I'll test it out, take a look at both at the same time, cut them, install them, check that I'm happy with them, paint them, finish that project, move to the next one. All right, so now with the rough cuts, I'm gonna go ahead and mock it up to see if everything goes true now that it's finally gonna go on the inside. So I'm just gonna leave this one like this, and then it should be going something like this. Okay, so I'm trying to keep this video as raw as possible, meaning I'm looking at things the same time you guys are looking at things. So if I'm a little bit closer to the wall, which is why you know, it's like this. But all I want you to see is that now by having the bracket on the inside, it pretty much, you know, you're never gonna notice. And then of course you're expecting to have some sort of like bolting here and bolting here. So right now they're both, you know, all the way in, still missing the nut on this side, and this one is the threaded, you know, area from the triple tree. So this one is fine. It's actually pretty sturdy. It's by hand, so finger tight, so it's not all the way. I mean, it's all the way, but not tight right now. So I'm actually, you know, pretty happy with that. So I think I actually like it a lot. So all I need to do is wrap up this, you know, bracket at the bottom, and then just get the two nuts that I'm going to be installing on these two bolts, this one and the one on the other side, and then just finalize, you know, give it a rounded look, round this here so it looks, you know, less industrial like I said before, and then paint it, and we should be good to go. All right, so these are the final pieces. This is the bracket I'm going to be using at the bottom, and then these are the two I'm going to be using on the top of the headlight. All right, so I'm starting with the plate at the bottom by hand first. Okay. These are the original bolts, and then I'm going to be using the new ones on the bolt or the holes at the bottom. It's a bit difficult to see if I don't, bring light in here, but anyhow, if you see that plate, so now this is what I was trying to do. So now this is the original location, and now this is the new location where I have a plate, pretty much, reinstalling the lower portion that's going to be serving as the base for the headlight in here, which is going to give me that 1.5 inch drop that I was looking for. So I am putting the headlight in its final position. Look how sturdy, this came out, super sturdy. Okay, so now let's just work on the top. Okay, so now here I have the M6 for 1.0 for 30 millimeters. And what I'm going to do, I'm just gonna start it at the bottom. So I'm just gonna run the bracket through the bottom. So reusing, the original grommet and everything. Okay, so I have it on. Now I'm gonna use one of the M6 nuts. I'm just going to pull the bolt back a little bit. I'm just gonna let it kind of finger tight for now. Okay, so now you see it's not going out, no, it's not going anywhere. And for the sake of, using a washer so it looks kind of more uniform, at least it's the same way this one looks like, I'm going to be pulling this back and then reusing the bolt, the threaded bolt that originally used to carry, the weight in here. So even though it's only finger tight, it's blending. I mean, in my opinion, it looks pretty good, and I think it's actually pretty nice. So I'm just gonna finish this one, put the other one, and I'm just gonna let you see the final result. All right, so what do you think? Was it worth it? I mean, I know it's subtle, and chances are, if I don't tell you, you will probably never know, and that's okay, because that's part of what I was trying to do. Like, I wanted to do something that I know, it's different, and I'm looking at it, and I can tell, it's lower, at least that 1.5 inches that I managed to get the headlight low. So one thing that I want to do, I still need to put the horn back on the bracket. Same for the line. I just have to bend this up a little bit so I can grab the line in here, so that's fine. But all I want to do is make sure that that I did not lose any. I'm like pulling super hard, and only thing is moving is actually the fork are moving right now, but like this is sturdy. So the bracket, if you can see through there, came out super nice, super sturdy, and the same for this one. It provided a very strong contact. I didn't want to lose or have a shaky kind of headlight and whatnot. So fair warning, I didn't want the bike to necessarily imitate what the GSX is, but I can tell you something. I just love the way it looks. In addition to that, I will say something super quick. If you think about when you have, if you FZ-09 owners, when you have to reach to turn your bike on, isn't that difficult. Like you have to kind of like get your hands like on top of here, like just super weird. Look at all the space that I have now. This is also, you know, a sturdy, or at least, you know, in my case, sturdier than it was before, because I had, you know, the relocation done in the past that I didn't understand, and then in addition to that, I used a different, you know, point to my clip-ons. But yeah, I am happy with how it came out. So I'm super pumped. I love the fact that I was able to kind of match all the bolts in that way. They're black and they kind of look the same, so there's nothing that feels out of place, and I like it. I like it a lot, man. To be quite honest, like I'm pretty happy with, you know, what I did, and I wouldn't change it for a thing. Like honestly, I don't. There's completely reversible. Nothing was broken. I can reuse everything. I'm pretty happy with what I did. So all I'm going to say is, if you have questions about this modification you want to do yourself, just let me know and I'll be happy to help you and maybe share with you a little bit of what I did in case I was not super clear with some of the steps, and I'll be happy to share with you. So if you're new to the channel, please just consider subscribing. This is what I do. I just modify my bikes and I just like to ride them, and once in a while I just like to race them. So please connect with me, you know, later on, so we can kind of, you know, answer any questions that you may have. And if you have any questions about this modification, please let me know. Let me know your thoughts. Maybe is it dumb? It's okay. I mean, I don't care. I do care what you think, but it doesn't bother me in the sense of like I'm happy with what I did, and I'm not going to change my mind because you don't like it. So that's fair game. If you feel like, you know, it's a complete, you know, waste of time, and you much rather just spend your time doing something else. I had a blast, and my mind was occupied with something that I did with my hands instead of just scrolling through my phone. So I'm happy with it. So hopefully you enjoy it too. I hope you have an amazing day today, and just, you know, come back in next week and hopefully we'll have more content for you. Thank you.